This word used in Psalms a number of times has to do with a venom from God. Psalm 79:6 says, "Pour out thy wrath, thy venom, thy poisonous hot displeasure upon the heathen that have not known thee, and upon the kingdoms that have not called upon thy name." Isaiah 63:6 says, "I will tread down the people in mine anger and make them drunk in my fury, my poisonous hot displeasure. I will bring down their strength to the earth." This is not an evil poison, but it is a deadly poison just the same. Isaiah 66:15 says, "Behold, the Lord will come with fire, and his chariots like a whirlwind, to render his anger with fury and his rebuke with flames of fire." People don't like to hear that God is venomous, but he is. To all that reject his Son, his anger is deadly. Would you read with me with the psalmist in Psalm chapter number 2? Your Bible says, "Why do the nations rage and the peoples plot in vain? The kings of the earth set themselves, and the rulers take counsel together against the Lord and against his anointed, saying, let us burst their bonds apart and cast away their cords from us. He who sits in the heavens laughs. The Lord will have them in derision. Then he will speak to them in his wrath and terrify them in his fury, saying, as for me, I have set my king on Zion, my holy hill. I will tell the decree. The Lord said to me, you are my son. Today I've begotten you. Ask of me, and I will give you the nations, your heritage, and the ends of the earth, your possession. You shall break them with a rod of iron and dash them in pieces like a potter's vessel. Now therefore, O kings, be wise. Be warned, O rulers of the earth. Serve the Lord with fear and rejoice with trembling. Kiss the Son, lest he be angry and you perish in the way, for his wrath is quickly kindled. Blessed are all who take refuge in him. Do you actually think that your life can be an offense to God and you not be struck by the wrath of God? Do you think that you will not pay the consequences of your unbelief, your trifling with sin, your unrepentant heart before such a holy and a wrathful God? God has, does, and will pour out his wrath. God is holy, and he vents his fury upon sin. We have watered down the gospel so that we no longer believe that our God is absolutely enraged with sin. And judgment is coming. And it must begin first at the house of the Lord. Verse 12 in Psalm 2 says, kiss the Son, lest he be angry and you perish from the way when his wrath is kindled but a little. In other words, when God gets just a little angry, people perish. For one sin, death passed on all men, for that all have sinned. God killed in one day 23,000 people for having premarital sex. When David sinned against God by counting the Israelites, God killed 70,000 in one day. When the sons of Korah rebelled, fire came out from the ground and devoured 250, and a plague killed some 14,000 more. In Joshua 22, did not Achan the son of Zerah commit a trespassing the accursed thing, and wrath fell on all the congregation of Israel, and that man perished not alone in his iniquity. When Israel went whoring around, God slaughtered 24,000 of them. For the ungodly ways of the Sodomites, God slaughtered everything that was alive in all of their cities. When God became very angry at the sins of man, he killed every living thing on this earth except the few that were in the ark. Death and life are in the hands of God. And He daily delivers death and destruction. There's a death every 1.78 seconds. Every minute, 107 people die. Most of them will perish and be tormented under the wrath of the fires of God in hell for eternity. That's 6,000 deaths an hour. That's 153,000 deaths per day. That's 56 million deaths per year. And most of these are being tormented in the hells of fire, which are kindled by the breath of God. Isaiah 30 verse 33, for Tophet, literally a place of fire, is ordained of old. Yea, for the king it is prepared. He hath made it deep and large. The pile thereof is fire and much wood. The breath of the Lord, like a torrent of brimstone, doth kindle it. Your Bible says that the Lord is known by the judgment which He executes. Do you think that Katrina and other catastrophes are merely accidents? Your Bible is replete with admonitions that it is God who sends the east wind. It is God who sends destruction. It is God who is in control of everything. He's the sovereign ruler of the entire universe. There are no accidents. And then Paul tells us in Ephesians chapter 5, let no one deceive you with empty words. For because of these things, and he listed a list of sins that are common today, he says, because of these things, the wrath of God comes upon the children of disobedience. My friends, like the lion Aslan in the Chronicles of Narnia, I tell you, God is not safe. But He is good, and He's holy, and He's just. But He's not safe and needs to be taken refuge from. Other words used for the wrath of God mean an outpouring, an overflow, or an excess of fury and rage. God's wrath is to be trembling or quaking with rage. There is a settled indignation. Your Bible says in Romans chapter 2 and verse 8, those who are self-seeking, listen to it, those who are self-seeking and do not obey the truth, but obey unrighteousness, there will be wrath and fury. There will be tribulation and distress for every human being who does evil. Your Bible says in Romans chapter 7 verse 11 that God is angry with the wicked. That's Psalm 7:11. God is angry with the wicked every day. He is wicked. He is angry with the wicked. That means that he is enraged with the wicked. We like to think today that God is winking at sin. And we think that He will wink at our sin as though He's powerless to stop it. We're told in 1 Thessalonians chapter 2 that those who are attempting to stop the gospel, Paul said, no, they think they're getting away with it. But they're simply filling up the measure of their sins. These were religious and morally right people. And God said through the Apostle Paul that they're simply treasuring up wrath as they fill